LegacyMaker, the all sports network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
Are you giving it to Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he piggybacked off of his dad's name? The only difference was because there was a junior at the end and not a senior.
Yes, and
Okay.
because the fact is, Drew.
Point with, oh my God! I had Miami Heat winning last night. I was upset too when they lost. This with you because of the fact of what you.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the In or Out sports debate with your hosts,
James Brown of the LegacyMaker Sports Network
and Drew Willingham.
Hello, everyone. We are live with episode 45 of the In or Out Sports Debate. I'm your host, Drew Willingham, here for Double Debate Tuesday this evening. The second part of that being episode 45 with a returning guest. He is also a member of the LegacyMaker Sports Network. Give it up for Mr. James Brown. James, welcome back to the show, brother.
What's going on, Drew? Thanks for having me back, man. Glad to be here. Looking forward to having another great show.
Same here, my man. Definitely been looking forward to this one. 45 episodes now in the books almost, but we're working on it. We've got 44 earlier today with Mr. Snowman, Brian Snow. Right now, we are at episode 45. But with that being said, just like every single episode previously, we have to acknowledge the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man, Drew Willingham.
That right there is the Vault of Fame acknowledging the previous episodes here on the In or Out Sports Debate. And we also need to go ahead and acknowledge the handles as well that we are on. The LegacyMaker Sports Network's Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as well as the LinkedIn channel, as well as soon to become the TikTok channel as well. We also have the In or Out Sports Debate handles, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the audio platforms listed here on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can also download on iTunes. We are here for episode 45. Myself, Drew Willingham, and Mr. James Brown. Champagne Jimmy's back in the house here for episode 45. Been looking forward to it today, my man. Let's go ahead and kick this thing into round one.
Round one.
And here with round one, the lack of a fully guaranteed contract for Russell Wilson is a win for the NFL. How do you feel about this, James? Are you in or are you out on this one?
From an owner's perspective, I'd say I'm in.
Okay.
So, yeah, man, from an owner's perspective, the fact that the last two quarterbacks to sign new deals, that their contracts have not been fully guaranteed, is a great look for owners. While they have the means, more than likely, nobody's really trying to sign over that check and write it in the escrow to make sure that all that money they do guarantee is left there. What in the Browns case with Deshaun Watson, he got 5 years, $230 million, fully guaranteed. But Cleveland's owners, the Haslams, they actually have to write that check out in the escrow for the coming years to make sure that money's there and untouched. And while most owners might be able to do that, they may not want to do that. It may not be the direction they're looking to move forward to. So I'll say the fact that we've seen two more quarterbacks sign for lack of a fully guaranteed deal. I mean, it's great for them. They're still getting their guys under contract. They're still able to pay their guys the money of an average quarterback in today's league. But if they're not able to fully guarantee it, it's a win-win. So, yeah, I feel like it's good for them.
I agree. I'm in on this as well. Let's break down Russell Wilson's contract for a second. When you really think about everything, and he's locked up through 2028. I mean, when you put it all on paper, his base salary for this year is $2 million with a $10 million signing bonus, as well as $8 million next year. So he's only going to hit for another $6 million next year, as well as another $10 million signing. So for the next 5 seasons, he does actually get a $10 million signing bonus each year, and the salary goes up. But over the course of the next 4 seasons, mainly over the course of the next 3 seasons from 2022, 2023, and 2024, he has no more than a $27 million cap hit on this actual team. So when you think about all that, he's giving you room to spend on other talent to lock them up so that way they can actually make a run in the playoffs. Very similar to how Peyton Manning did it in that kind of structure back when he did it over a decade ago. But when the contract negotiations were pretty different back when Peyton Manning came to Denver at that point. It's still a similar circumstance as far as how he got there. The other team didn't really want him too much, and he ends up getting there and then signing an extension. But the contract details of everything, as far as how Peyton did it with Denver before and to how Russ is doing now, completely different scenario. But for today's contract status and for the NFL, so that way negotiating for possibly Lamar Jackson might be a little bit easier. But I think Deshaun Watson's contract might still hurt that a little bit.
Well, I definitely feel like Lamar is going to push for that fully guaranteed deal from the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens ownership with Steve Bisciotti, he's been adamant in saying that he's not going to do a fully guaranteed deal. So I think they might have to land somewhere in the sweet spot where it's a set number that's fully guaranteed, when there's money on the back end as well for Lamar to still earn and work towards. I feel like that's something they'll probably hopefully get to before Sunday's games. Lamar's also mentioned that, come week 1, contract talks are shut down for the season. He's focused on playing ball. There'll be no more contract talks. So I'm hoping they get something done prior to week 1. If not, we'll see if they can get something done in the offseason. Or if he breaks his rule and maybe get something done in the midway point, we'll have to wait and see. But I'll definitely say that Russell Wilson, he's a smart guy. So I'm pretty sure when they were going over the numbers, working this out, he probably realized, look, I've been top paid before. I've been one of the highest paid guys. Along with that, I want to win, and I don't just want to win games. I want to win titles. So he's kind of going a little bit into that Tom Brady will, where it's like, look, I'll sacrifice some money on the front end if it means you put a team around me I'm able to win championships with, because we know you can always make that money up off the field when you're a champion, whether it be endorsement deals, other deals in the city. I mean, he's in Denver now, the Waldens now on the Broncos. I'm pretty sure there's some lucrative opportunities there that he could be persuaded into or, let in on now that he's kind of helped scratch their back. So, we'll see what happens, but I'll say it's a great deal for Denver. It's a great deal for Russell. Hopefully it works out.
He came so close to having back-to-back Super Bowls. He was that one throwaway from having back-to-back Super Bowls. He's been itching ever since that moment. It's just Seattle couldn't fully keep that team around. The next year they were okay, but after that Super Bowl alone, they lost key talent that got them there. And he hasn't been able to fully recover in Seattle since, which is why he's now in Denver. And I really like how the contract is stated so that way that he can get some help in Denver over the course of the next 2 to 3 seasons to potentially go on a run by years 3, 4, or 5, and then go out kind of like how Peyton Manning did. Hopefully a little bit better than Peyton Manning did, not as ugly, because that last season that Peyton Manning played, he definitely looked 40 years old. But that's a story for another day, and not for this one for Russell Wilson, because he didn't earn that kind of talk for him. He definitely has earned his good talk, and I definitely commend him for doing what's right for the league. And hopefully Lamar Jackson follows that lead at some point. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take this into round 2.
Round 2.
With round 2, we'll go ahead and kick it into NBA and talk about some offseason moves. And with this, the Boston Celtics have made the best offseason moves for this upcoming NBA season. With that being said, how do you feel about this, James? Are you in or are you out with this?
I'm in. So yeah, I'm definitely in on this one. I mean, I feel like the Celtics really what they're able to do was basically take the squad they already have and add better pieces around it. I mean, sure, they lost Daniel Tice. Looks like they lost Aaron Naismith, Nick Stauskas, Juwan Morgan, and Malik Fitz. If you don't know who those people are, don't worry. Not many of us do. They were clearly just rotational guys that they work in and out of the lineups. If you did watch any of the Celtics postseason games, you might remember Daniel Tice. He went off in game one of the finals, but that was pretty much it. But when you look at who they were able to bring in, they were able to get guys like Malcolm Brogdon in the trade from Indiana. They were able to bring in Danilo Gallinari, signing him as a free agent, another shooter, a guy who can play on the wing, but also maybe compete with some of those bigs down low, shoot the ball as well. Luke Cornett, another big, I believe, that's got a shooting touch from outside as well. So they really just brought in guys that will help elevate what their core guys do, as well as also, 3-and-D guys. That's what the NBA has kind of turned into. You need those guys on your team that are able to shoot the three ball, play defense as well. So I feel like they got better in those areas this offseason. If the guys stay healthy, these new additions come along. I mean, I don't know, man. We could see Boston possibly going on another run. I mean, it all depends on how the rest of the East shakes up. I felt like they caught a couple breaks last season, especially with Middleton being out for Milwaukee. But you never know, man. This could be their year. They could catch fire.
Yeah, they have proven, within the last few years that they are definitely a pretty good team in the NBA East. It definitely, I would have to agree with this as well, James. I'm in on this as well. When you think about the moves that they made, the biggest one, like James said, Malcolm Brogdon. Now, last year, he did dip in his percentage a little bit. As far as minutes, he played one less minute in the entire, he played 34.5 minutes in 2020 for the Pacers, and nearly 20 minutes last year, but was down to 19.1. When you really think about all that stuff, as far as his time that he spent there, well, actually, no, my apologies, that was his points. He was down just 1 point, so 33 minutes instead of 34. His points, though, went down as far as per game. He was at 21 points and then went down to 19 points a game, so his production was less. As far as being in Boston, he just needs to be a role player when it comes to when he plays. He doesn't really have to worry about being the guy. So 19, 20 points a game actually would work out pretty well for these guys in Boston, because it's not like they lost big pieces and they actually had to fill them, because all the names that you listed, besides Malcolm Brogdon, there was nobody really of big value that they really lost or gained during this entire offseason. So he was the big essential piece, plus the 2023 first round pick that they moved, within that trade as well. So with everything that they acquired, not just now, but for the future, I really like what Boston did this offseason. And besides Lakers getting Patrick Beverley, there hasn't really been a whole lot of noise within the NBA transactionals.
I don't know, man. You might have missed out then. Donovan Mitchell's in Cleveland now.
I forgot about that with him going to Cleveland. That's another thing, too. That did slip my mind, because with that being said, do you think that was a move to try to get LeBron at some point, even though he just signed the 2-year extension?
Man, it's tough to say, because LeBron has kept it open that, he'd be willing to go back. But we know he doesn't like necessarily playing with young guys. But maybe by the time his contract would be up and he is an eligible free agent again, that's 2-3 years down the road. The guys will have a little bit more age on them. They'll be solid vets. Maybe he could sign for maybe the vet minimum if he's into that. But he's kept it open. We could possibly see LeBron Cleveland Chapter 3, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm not going to hold my breath and wait. But if it happens, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, it would take some time. He'd have to finish that extension. So I believe with the extension, he's good through not just this season, but the 2 seasons following that as well. So technically the next 3 seasons he's locked up in LA. By that point, if my calculations are right, that's when Bronny would be in the NBA if he does make it that far. Besides finishing high school and then doing the 1 year in college, I feel like that's how it's calculated. So he wants to stay in LA to make movies and get the exposure and get the endorsements. Is what he wants to do with LeBron, but who knows what happens after that? Donovan Mitchell would have to still play for 3 full seasons without LeBron being there, and a lot can happen in 3 seasons. So a lot will have to tell before we go to see that. But with all that being said, we do have some breaking news to cover on this episode. And That breaking news is this. Next Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, Darrell Owens of the LegacyMaker Sports Network returns for episode 46, as well as the next Tuesday, the day after that, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Raphael Haynes of the three-point conversion, Mr. Controversy, will be here next Tuesday, 9:13. The date, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the time here on the In or Out Sports Debate. James, we are here, though, in episode 45. We've gone through 2 rounds so far. With that being said, let's go ahead and take this into round 3.
Round 3.
And here with round 3, the Chargers have 8 players on the NFL Top 100 ranking and still won't make it to this year's Super Bowl. How do you feel about that? Are you in or are you out on that?
I'm in. Man, I mean, the AFC is just a gauntlet right now. I mean, of teams to go through, not to mention the Chargers' own division. They have to make it through the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Raiders. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, this was a division where you could honestly argue everybody could possibly win double-digit games, where all 4 teams you could possibly even argue could make the playoffs, where the 3 teams that don't win would be the wild cards, and, like, nobody would argue with that. It's going to be a long, tough road for them. I mean, they have the pieces. They got the quarterback in Justin Herbert. They got 2 edge rushers in Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. They got Derwin James on the back end and safety, but then they also have J.C. Jackson they just got from the Patriots in the offseason with Asante Samuel Jr. He's been playing well. So the Chargers have pieces, not to mention on offense. You know, they got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. I mean, they have the guys. It's just going to be, you know, are they going to be able to make it out of their own division? Are they going to be able to make it out of the conference? I feel like right now the competition elsewhere in the AFC is tough. I mean, you got to think, like I said, you got to make it through your division, but then you also got teams like Baltimore, the Bills. They're right now the AFC favorite, Super Bowl favorite for a lot of people. So it's going to be a tough gauntlet for them to run through, man, to try to make it to the Super Bowl. But it'll be exciting to see, but I don't think it happens quite yet.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with this one, too. I'm in on this as well. 8 players on that top 100, guys. There's a lot of people. Rashawn Slater, Corey Linsley, Austin Eckler, Derwin James, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, and J.C. Jackson. So you've got members on both sides of the ball that made that top 100. However, there's other teams within the AFC, like the Buffalo Bills are my pick to go to the Super Bowl this year. If you were to go through all the scheduling and to have my pick right now before week 1 starts, that's my rough pick. Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. Don't have them winning quite yet, but I can at least say throughout the picking, I have Buffalo Bills at least making it to the Super Bowl. Don't have the Chargers. Even though with those top 100 picks, with those 8 guys, Rashawn Slater has already established himself as an elite player at this position of left tackle. As a rookie, he had a Pro Bowl selection and was named a second-team All-Pro, so he was a beast. Corey Linsley was arguably the best center in the league last year. He also takes a lot of pressure off of Justin Herbert, and he's one of the leaders on the team, so that's definitely a big help. So that will help potentially down the road, but not right this second. Austin Eckler is, he's the running back that's been like your workhorse over the past, few seasons. He's huge for you. Derwin James, the safety, big for the defense. Herbert is definitely coming to his own as a leader for this team and has been second in the NFL in passing yards behind only Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II, who's thrown for 93 and 50 in passing yards and 69 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons, which nobody else in NFL history has done that. So when you put all that into perspective, as far as those 8 people, Keenan Allen at wide receiver, Joey Bosa at defensive end, and J.C. Jackson at cornerback, that's well-rounded on both sides of the ball. However, there's just other teams out there. As far as the Bills, too, as much weapons as they stacked up on over the offseason, I feel like if they don't win this offseason, the offensive coordinator's got to go because they have so many weapons on that offense. There's no excuse for their offense to not carry them to the Super Bowl on that side of the ball alone.
I mean, I do like Buffalo this season. With them losing Daboll and picking up Ken Dorsey as the OC, there might be some growing pains. I mean, reports we've heard so far to training camp, so far to start the season, is that Dorsey and Allen have been hitting it off, that there's not really much change to the offense, maybe just a few tweaks here and there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I feel like the other big thing for the Chargers, we got to see, what's going to come down to as far as health and coaching. I feel like those are the two things that have kind of derailed this team over the past 2 seasons. Derwin James, we got to see if he can stay healthy for a full season. Austin Eckler, I mean, he's had his nicks here and there. The Keenan Allen's had a few nicks, Mike Williams. But then what we saw last year from a coaching standpoint, the Chargers were one of the more aggressive teams that actually, chose to go for it on a lot of 4th downs. We saw where that even cost them in the final game of the season, that I believe that Monday night game against the Raiders, where they went for it early on 4th down in like their own territory, and they didn't pick it up, and the Raiders just carried their momentum from there to end up kicking the game-winning field goal to get a playoff spot and send the Chargers home. So, things like that. Has Brandon Staley learned from that? Are they going to be able to bounce back from that? Can they move on, move forward? Has he gotten better with some of that decision-making? Those will all be factors into whether they even make the playoffs this year. So, we'll see what happens. But I feel like they're at least 9-10 wins. I mean, they have the pieces, man. The squad's there. It's just injuries, coaching, and can they actually do it?
I don't know, fans. Why don't you tell us in the comments? We got a 4-minute video for you guys to watch their top 10 plays from last season leading up into this week 1. We got this upcoming week. What do you guys think as far as that goes when it comes to those Chargers highlights from last year? Do you think that with them having 8 players in the top 100 ranking this year, do you think that they will make the Super Bowl? Are you out on this? Or do you think that they won't make the Super Bowl with those top 8 players in the top 100? So James and I definitely gave you some great takes on that. With that, though, we've come to the middle part of the show where we need to take the comments from the fans from the Media Mayhem. Let's see what's going on with that. Looks like we've got some comments from a couple guys on YouTube right now. John Kimball says, "What's up, guys?" What's up, John Kimball? Thank you for joining us again. You were here for the last episode and just recently started watching. We definitely appreciate the comments, especially going back and forth with some of the trolls we've had, I guess. Derek says, "James, excited to see James up in here again." Fan of James. "Chargers won't make the playoffs," says John Kimball. How do you feel about that, James? This is pretty far-fetched on that one.
I mean, I could see it, but I want to say they do make the playoffs. I don't think they make the Super Bowl, but I want to say they do make the playoffs. But, I mean, if they didn't, like we said, man, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. They got a lot to get through in their own division before they can even sniff the playoffs.
Hey, at least they don't have this guy coaching for them for this situation.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like if Jim Mora had this Chargers roster, though, we probably would have never heard that quote. But
no. So
he wishes he probably had a roster like this.
Yeah, I bet you he does, because he probably would still be coaching. I don't know. By this point, he might have retired because he's kind of up there. But who knows? He might. As far as the comments, they continue on with John Kimball says playoffs. So I guess he continues on by saying they won't make the playoffs. So he's correcting himself. Chargers will win the Super Bowl, says Derek. What about
maybe
that
he's a fan? I mean, but hey, you gotta love it. Support your team, rep your squad. That's his belief, man. We'll see.
I think this. I think this too. Damn! And I think this as well.
You're a liar! Liar!
Derek, it shows how much he likes the Bills this season. That's all it is.
It just has to be. Has to be. With that, we got another one from Derek says Herbert will be MVP. Wow, man.
Well, if they get to the Super Bowl, then maybe, I feel like he probably will be MVP. So maybe those are kind of like hand in hand.
think Dolomite comes into this.
Bitch, are you for real?
Absolutely. Because are you for real? Do you really think they're going to get that far and Herbert's going to be the MVP? Get out of here with that. Kimball says, no, you jabroni. They don't even make the playoffs. I'm telling you. I mean, Kimball's firing back in there. This is some funny stuff going on YouTube. But with calling him a jabroni, only The Rock has to jump in for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. He comes back with Chargers win next 4 straight Super Bowls, unlike the Bills. So he's definitely a Bills hater, but we just have to kind of throw this out there too. Are you doing this with Granny?
Some good shit.
Stay off the weed.
Absolutely. Because you're doing too much of it with these comments that you got coming out of the side of your neck. John Kimball says, what in the blue hell, Derek? Thank you. Thank you, John Kimball, for the defense right there, because it's kind of like this with Keanu.
Whoa.
Thank you. Thank you, John Kimball. We appreciate it. I challenge you two to a tag team match. DX with Stephanie versus Rock Stone Cold with Sonny. Yeah, he's definitely been watching the past episodes because with this, The Rock said this to Stephanie.
Do you think you're really special because you've cashed in on the services of one Stephanie McMahon Helmsley? A $2, no. 50 cent, no. Buy 2, get 1 free. Does anybody have change for a nickel? Grab it. What?
Change for a nickel. And if you wanted to know about your tag team propaganda,
and The Rock is going to make it very simple. No convoluted plans. No twists, no turns, no plots. And it goes like this. Here's the WWF Tag Team title. Here's the door. Here's the ceiling. Here's the floor. Here's a man with no testicles. And here's The Rock. And here's the people's eyebrow. Here's the people's elbow. And here's The Rock's boot. Which means he's going to take it and whip both your candy all over Charlotte.
John Campbell's response to that was, what? And then John Campbell follows it up with, Boston will win NBA championship next year. I'm not sure with just picking up Malcolm Brogdon that you're going to just be able to just say you're automatically guaranteed a championship over the reigning defending Dub City champs that, now have a dynasty definitely locked in place, with that. No, you cannot say that with Boston. What do you think with that, James?
I mean, like we said earlier, man, their setup roster-wise, I could definitely see it. But like I said, they caught a lot of breaks last year with the whole mess in Brooklyn, Middleton being out for the Bucks. What? Did they catch another break? And really, relatively, they stayed healthy as well, being Boston. Like, they stayed relatively healthy as well. We don't know if that's going to play out again this season. Like I said, I doubt Middleton's hurt again for another playoff series. While Brooklyn's in a state of flux, I wouldn't think they'd play that bad again, but you never know, man. But, I like his confidence.
Yeah, there's definitely some wild comments coming from the two of them. This is not even close. Miami Heat will beat the Celtics. Derek.
Darrell would like that. Darrell definitely would agree with that.
Yeah, I think we go back. I think somebody's kind of milking it for him because it's one of those situations if this guy showed up in front of you.
You can't handle the truth.
That's not happening. You might beat them, but you're not going to win the championship. You're not going to beat them in the finals, and then it was in the Eastern finals, and then go to no. You're not going to do that, Derek. You need to calm down because this is what we do to trolls. Absolutely, that's what we're doing to trolls. If you're going to get into that movement, Derek, you need to calm it down. We don't want to have this conversation again. Thank you. Justin Brown says second or third in AFC West at best. Got to respect KC. Russ can finally cook, and Vegas is a wild card, in my opinion.
I mean, it's good. It's a good take. Well, of course, Kansas split in. champs until they're champs no more, especially in the AFC West. Russ will get his opportunity to cook out in Denver. Like we said, he's got pieces around him. He's finally got an offensive guy as his coach. We'll see if that pays dividends. And I can't lie, Vegas, man, they overcame a lot last season. For them this year, it should be a little bit more focused on football for them. Maybe they do make it happen. We'll see.
Yes, we'll see. It's definitely going to be it's an interesting take, Justin. We definitely appreciate your comment. Thank you for watching here on the In or Out Sports Debate. When it comes to these other comments, Derek even goes back into saying that he's not a jabroni, commenting from what we were talking about here with these comments here just a minute ago. So, but with Justin here, thank you for your comment. John Kimball, thank you for your, if you are John Kimball, I don't know, it looks like you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know who you are, but thank you for defending us a little bit in the comments while we were talking and going through those first few rounds. That is the first 3 rounds. We are now to the midway point of the show. Let's go ahead and take this into the next round. The next round that we have is round 4. And with that, let's go ahead and take this into the By the Numbers segment where we discuss, with this being episode 45.
Round 4.
And with round 4, Kenny Easley is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 45 in all of sports history. How do you feel about this, James? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'd say I'm out. So yeah, I'd say I'm out. Definitely doing my research for the episode. Looked up Kenny Easley. Played 7 seasons, made the Hall of Fame, 5-time Pro Bowler. Seemed to really be that prototypical safety nowadays. Back in the 80s, 6'3", 200 pounds. Flying around back in the 80s, making tackles, making plays for the Seattle Seahawks defense. Definitely is probably something that's more reminiscent of today. Maybe Cam Chancellor before Cam Chancellor. But 45, we all know who that is, man. It's Mike. It's Michael Jordan. People might say it's cheating because he had 2 numbers, 23 and 45. But athletic-wise, all-time greatness, it's Michael Jordan. 45, come on now. He's the only guy in the NBA. Well, I give it to Kobe. He's the only guy in the NBA outside of Kobe Bryant that had 2 probably top-selling jerseys on the same team with 2 different numbers. Come on. Who else can claim that? On the same team, had 2 different jerseys, both top sellers. I don't think many other people got that, man. So I'm going Michael Jordan.
James, I thought you were going to say it. I really thought you were going to say it. I was gunning for you to say it. I thought you were going to beat me to the punch. I agree with the out, but I disagree with who it is. But I'll go ahead and say I'm out. James, you left out one key thing. I know you love basketball and football, but you got to look into baseball. And there's one Hall of Fame guy, and I'll go ahead and take the close up. Bob Gibson, number 45. Oh, Bobby G. Bob Gibson definitely had a big impact. 2-time World Series champion in 1964, 1967, a big contributor for the St. Louis Cardinals. Played there his entire career from 1959 to 1975. It's a pretty long career, my man. Kenny Easley definitely had a pretty good career for 6 years. He's not many people besides Michael Jordan, worn 45 that are notable for it. But James, he wore 45 for a very short period of time. I can't give it to Michael Jordan for his short flash in the pan. He's known for number 23. He didn't win championships with number 45, James. Kenny Easley didn't win championships with 45.
Your
but
question
you know who
was
did? You know who did, James?
Athlete.
Oh, Bobby G.
Athlete. You said athlete. Michael
Baseball is
Jeffrey
athletic
Jordan.
too. What are you talking about?
Greatest athlete.
Yeah.
Greatest athlete. Did the man wear 45 or did the man not wear 45? He wore
a flash in the pan. He didn't achieve anything.
And it was a hell of a flash. It was a flash we all know, love, and remember.
In the number 45.
In 45. There were great flashes in 45. Putting up 55 in the Garden. You don't remember that? Dropping 55 in the Garden?
Did he win championships for 45?
Bruh, not everybody wins championships in every number they wore. What you said, greatest
Come on,
athlete.
James.
You said greatest athlete. And for me, that's why you asked me my opinion. It's Michael Jordan. You can have Bob, Gibson, Tipson, Mipson. You can take Bob. Bob was playing back in the day when won't nobody even watching. Well, that might have been the only time somebody was watching baseball was back in the day. Nope, Bob doesn't register, bro. I'm sorry.
I thought you were gonna pick
Bob.
Bob
Doesn't
Gibson,
register, bro.
I'm very surprised at this, but you're holding your ground. I respect it. We'll agree to disagree on this one. Your stance is Jordan. My stance is Bob Gibson. Fans, let us know in the comments what you think.
I mean, they might have another 45.
They might. I besides Kenny Easley. Now, I knew Jordan did it, but I didn't even put him into the equation or think of him because he didn't really wear it for too long. But I see where you're coming from. I'll give you that. But what do the fans think? What do the fans think with that? But other than that, when it comes to some time, and we've definitely got some time on the vault here, me and James with the show. We definitely want to go back and acknowledge that and what we've started to do here with the past episode, and that's called the Highlight HQ, the Highlight Headquarters, just outside of the Vault of Fame, producing highlights of previous episodes. This is James' third time. Let's go ahead and check that out for a second. And I say this because when it comes to numbers, when we look at baseball or football or basketball, and we think of the greatest athletes of all time, if you were to divide them up into the numbers that they actually play with, and this is why I call this one by the numbers, Tony Gwynn is the best to ever wear the number 19 of all sports athletes ever. How do you feel about that, James? When you think of all the athletes who have ever worn past, present, we can't go future because we don't have a time machine. But if you think of past and present, Tony Gwynn, is he the best one to ever wear the number 19? Are you in or out?
I'd have to say that again. I think I'm out on this one.
Okay.
So yes, Tony Gwynn, when you look at his career, he's got the numbers. He's got he's got the 338 batting average. He's got over 3,000 hits. He's a left-handed. So I feel like I'm betraying a fellow lefty on this take. But when I think of number 19 throughout the history of sports, there is one guy that comes to mind. And for a lot of newer generation, they may not know, but for those that do, that have followed the game of football since the beginning of time, they know when you think number 19, you think of Johnny Unitas for the Baltimore Colts back in the day. I mean, this was a guy who he was, in a sense, the Peyton Manning of his day, or you could say Peyton Manning was the Johnny Unitas of his day. This was a guy who, at the line of scrimmage, was the best quarterback for his time. I mean, Johnny Unitas, he pretty much the forward pass, that was his bread and butter at a time where football was, 3 yards in a cloud of dust from running the ball all the time. I mean, if you go back and look at some of his numbers, he was posting 3,000-yard seasons back in the 50s and 60s. Like, if memory serves me correct, I think his single highest ever passing yards for a season was 3,481 yards. That came in 1963. And that's comparable to some quarterbacks that play in the NFL today. And he threw that for a season back in 1963 on only about 50% passing completion. If you tie that into nowadays where guys are hitting 60, 70% of their passes, you're talking about he could have had nearly about another 1,000 yards, about a 4,400-yard season. So, I mean, when I think of number 19, man, I'd have to go with Johnny Unitas. He's got the stats, he's got the nostalgia, and he's also got the wins. He's got NFL championships before the Super Bowl, and then he also won a Super Bowl himself. So, I mean, I got to go with Johnny Unitas. Greatest number 19 there was.
You hit it right on the head, and I agree with you on this. I'm out on this as well. Here with this one, James. This one's a special one. Remember, the Titans should be considered as the greatest sports movie of all time. Fans, what do you think? We're almost at the midway point. The medial mayhem is going to be here after this round. What do you think? Do you guys think that Remember the Titans should be considered as the greatest sports movie of all time. James, what do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out?
I'm in, man. I mean, definitely, man. I'm in. I mean, how could you not hold Remember the Titans up there as one of the greatest of all time? I mean, from the acting to the story itself. And, you know, a bit of a homer take, but it took place here in Virginia, up at T.C. Williams, up in Northern Virginia, man. But, I mean, it's a great story, and it also happens to involve a game that we all love, football, and it involves sports. But just the story itself, bringing men together from different walks of life to come together to accomplish a common goal of being perfect out there on that field. I mean, that's a movie that you can take so much away from, not only from a sports perspective, but how we should go about living our lives as individuals as well, man. So great story, great acting. I mean, I hold it up there as one of the highest, man. So I'm in all the way.
I like your take and everything. I disagree, and you'll see why here in a second. With everything you said about it being in Virginia and the story and everything behind it, I love the movie. It's in my top 3 of all time. I really wanted to put this at 1. However, I have to disagree. I'm going out. I've got Remember the Titans at 3, and I remember back in 8th grade, because it was the year 2000. That's how old I am. I was in 8th grade back then, and we got to watch Remember the Titans in one of our classes, in our history class or civics class, something like that, for like 2 or 3 days. It was broken down to where we could watch 40 minutes. And I fell in love with it. I didn't get to go to the movie theater and see it, but I remember reading about the story and stuff, you know, growing up being a sports buff, even as a young kid. And it was one of my favorite movies of all time. But if I were to say the greatest sports movie of all time, I got to go with A League of Their Own. With the way they showed the women's sports filling in for a while. The men were at war back in World War II, and how that basically took place of the MLB and kept baseball alive for that short period of time. Tom Hanks and the other actors and actresses in that movie made that movie. Number 2, I'm sticking with baseball as well. Bull Durham. Bull Durham is my number 2. Just because you get to see the minor league system and just Kevin Costner and the other actors and stuff in there within that movie. I believe that's 2. I got Remember the Titans at 3. Field of Dreams at 4, even though it's not really like a sports team movie, but, you know, it's still the story behind that. And then I got to go Friday Night Lights at 5. And that was the highlight headquarters right there, showing the previous episodes that James is part of, here with episode 19, 19, my apologies, and episode 28 were the 2 episodes, and now we're at episode 45. James is definitely locking them up here in the vault. With that said, we do have another round to go to. We'll go ahead and check this out with the final round.
Final round.
And here with the final round, going to a team that James definitely knows very well, the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ridder would be a better choice at quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons than Marcus Mariota. How do you feel about this, James? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm out. So, yeah, I'm definitely out. I love what Ridder displayed in the preseason. Showed a lot of promise and towards being possibly the guy of the future. But I think as of right now, for this moment, for this season, this team belongs to Marcus Mariota. I mean, they brought him in to be that starter for this team, and he's shown the dividends. He's come to camp. He's been in shape. He's looked great. The preseason action we have got to see, he's been able to come in, make plays, make adjustments, make throws. Hopefully he can just, you know, expand on that once the season starts. Hopefully he'll stay healthy as well, because in my opinion, that's the only way I really see Ridder seeing the field this year. Mariota has to be hurt, or the Falcons have to be out of playoff contention early on in the season, and they just need to get him some reps. But I feel like Marcus Mariota's come in. He's done a great job. He's earned his starting role on this team, and I'm honestly excited to see what he does this year with the Falcons. I mean, a lot of people got to remember, like, you know, he was a 2nd overall pick coming out of college. He was also a Heisman Trophy winner. While it didn't go exactly as planned in Tennessee, he did have some moments with the Titans. He had some great games, some great seasons. He did get them to the playoffs. The one playoff memory I do have is when he threw that one pass, it got batted down, he caught it and ran it in for the touchdown himself. So, I mean, the magic's there. It's just, can he stay healthy? Is Atlanta's giving him a real shot. He's getting his opportunity to come back around. We saw Ryan Tannehill do it to him in Tennessee. Maybe hopefully he's learned from that. We saw him back up Derek Carr out in Vegas with the Raiders. Hopefully he's learned from that as well. He's able to come back, propelling into a winning season this year for the Falcons, hopefully.
You're absolutely right with this. And, when you put this into the equation and you really think about this, when it comes to a kid I don't trust anybody that's born this late in the 90s yet. When it comes to, we talked about this on Legacy on Fire, James. I don't trust Kenny Pickett because he was born in 1998, and I sure don't trust him born in 1999. I'm out on this as well. Desmond Ridder, rookie, hasn't been around enough to really learn, and he definitely needs to sit back and learn because he's not as advanced as someone like Kenny Pickett or some other quarterbacks that we would even possibly consider to be starting at quarterback at QB1. Mitch Trubisky has already been announced as a starting quarterback in Pittsburgh, so we already know how that is. So if you kind of put that in and weigh that into your pros and your cons, that's why you definitely don't want to put Ridder in the QB1 at Atlanta. He needs to learn a little bit more. The highlights will definitely play here of his preseason. Definitely look pretty decent. But as far as he needs a little bit more than just these preseason highlights. We need to see maybe him come in towards some cleanup duty in the game or whatnot. Hopefully, there's no injuries or whatnot. We don't want to see him come in for that case. But maybe to help out and like blowout wins, whether blowout loss or blowout win at some point, and see what you got with the second string. But at this point, I think the highlights will speak for himself. He needs a little bit more work. Let's let the fans think.
Jr. single setback. Fake it to him. Picks up the blitz. Set up the screen. And Michael Pruitt, the tight end.
But with that being said, how do you feel about that when it comes to the him and all that being said, when it comes to him and the rookiness, and all that? What do you think about his highlights there, James? What do you think?
So for our audience, the preference, Drew doesn't start or like any quarterback, I believe, that wasn't born 95 and up. So like, if your birth certificate has anything, 96 and down, you're out of luck in Drew's book. But like I said, Ridder showed promise in the preseason training camp, being able to see the highlights. He showed promise, being able to come in and handle adversity. That first game where we played the Detroit Lions had a lot of drops. Receivers weren't really catching the ball for him well. He was able to handle that, prolong it into a game-winning drive to Jared Bernhardt in front corner of the end zone to win that one. Looked good against the Jets, had some great throws, had some great runs as well. So, we're seeing him being able to use his legs, being able to know, all right, the pocket's breaking down, the play is not there, I need to get out, get some positive yards, or throw the ball away. And then we even saw him overcome some adversity in the final game against the Jags, where I believe first play of the game, he throws a pick like deep down the field. And he was able to come back from that, take the team on we went on, maybe 2 scoring drives or something after that. But we're seeing the flashes. The flashes are there. The talent's there. It's just, molding it, making sure it's developing at the right pace so that next season, that's where you really want him to hit his stride. If you're a Falcons fan, even if you're on the coaching staff, you want to see what he can bring you going into next season, because that's when you really want him to hit the ground running, being able to come into camp, take hold of the offense, take hold of the team with saying, hey, look, you're the guy. This is your squad. Go out there, get us some wins. So as long as he's progressing towards that, I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah, I believe so too. It's not right this time. I'm definitely with you on that. It's time to let Marcus Mariota get his chance to show if he can lead this team or not, and kind of help mold Desmond Ridder into being something that you might be able to see down the line. Who knows? But in this current juncture, I don't believe so. And with that, I feel like maybe we should take this into our comments from the fans to see what they think as far as this quarterback situation goes. And with that, we do have some comments to go through. Guys, thank you again for your comments to help keep this thing going. When it comes to the number 45, Trick question, Michael Jordan, baby. So you definitely with James on that one, definitely agrees. Gibson is still the best to wear 45. Thanks for the backup there, John Kimball. Remember, the Titans is the best of all time. So working both sides, definitely agreeing with James that remember the Titans is the best of all time. Jordan is best at 23, not 45, says Derek. Rolling up in here with that heat. Marcus Mariota is going to have a career year, in my opinion, says Dio. Shout out to Dio for being a part of the show. Thank you very much for the comment there. Atlanta will surprise people, may not make the playoffs, but they are going to be competitive every week. So that's some love for your team there, James.
I like that sentiment.
So we'll see how that goes. If that comes into fruition. We'll save the soundbite for when that comes into fruition. See if that happens. Justin Brown says, "Stop leading lambs to slaughter. Don't throw the kid out there just to get fourth in the division, just to say he showed flashes." Talking about there with Ridder. So being careful with him. Ridder should start so he can get Rookie of the Year. I don't feel like he'd get Rookie of the Year if he started. That's my opinion.
Well, I feel like, Rookie of the Year pretty much can be a quarterback award. I mean, Chase won it last year because he had the standout year. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, this year's class, again, I feel like if none of the rookie quarterbacks play, it'll probably be another skill player guy. But I feel like if one of the rookies does play and he plays well, he'll probably get Rookie of the Year. I mean, it's a QB award.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I just don't think he's going to play, or hopefully not by injury. It'd be because Marcus Mariota is just terrible if that happens to be, and they got to see what they got with this pick. John Kimball follows up with, "No, Derek, you can't handle the truth." And again, that's definitely true, so we might as well play.
You can't handle the truth.
Absolutely. Thank you, John Kimball, for throwing that at him. Falcons will suck again, guys. Come on. Wow.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
I mean, Derek did say the Chargers going to make 4 straight Super Bowls, so,
I think this is how Charles Barkley would handle it if he saw this. And then he would have followed that up with,
"That's terrible."
Absolutely. Absolutely with that comment right there. Come on, Derek. Justin, then final comment of the show is, as a devout post-2005 bandwagon Pats fan, starting young quarterbacks hasn't worked in my favor, at least.
I mean, Mac made it to the playoffs last season. I mean, you got a lot to overcome in that division in the AFC East. I feel like the quarterback play is probably the least of your worries right now. You got to fill out the roster around your quarterback position in New England. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah. It's only time will tell with that. I mean, Mac Jones' second year. So, I mean, he definitely did play pretty well, in my opinion, last year to kind of fill the shoes of, Tom being gone, for the second year at that point. Because Cam didn't, but, Cam's just too beat up. He's not what he was, back with his MVP year. He's been too beat up over the course of his career. So he couldn't be that guy. And luckily they have a young enough quarterback that we'll see in the next 2 years or so if Mac Jones becomes that guy in New England. So far, it's looking pretty good for you. You just need to give it a little bit more time because, in our opinion, just keep investing into Mac Jones. We got to see what you got with that. You don't want to dump him and go for the next one just yet.
More time, more weapons, more protection.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for the comments and being a part of the show. That was the mayhem culmination. With that, it is definitely time to acknowledge James getting vaulted once again.
Acknowledge me.
And here with the Vault of Fame, James is now inducted into the Vault of Fame for a third time. He is a 3-time Vault of Fame inductee. James Brown is here again with episode 45. Up next on LegacyMaker Sports Network, we have the Legacy on Fire tomorrow, episode 37 at 7 p.m. tomorrow on the LegacyMaker Sports Network. Next week, just as mentioned earlier with the breaking news, episode 46 Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, as well as episode 47 Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. When it comes to the In or Out Sports Debate, you can find it on the LegacyMaker Sports Network platforms on Monday and Tuesdays as well. When it comes to the LegacyMaker Sports Network, here are the handles listed for the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn handles. Coming soon will be the TikTok as well, When it comes to everything, you can find it at LegacyMakerSports.com. When it comes to the In or Out Sports Debate, you can find it on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the audio platforms listed here with Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can also download on iTunes. Again, we are here for episode 45, gone through the final rounds and everything to the point to where all we have left here is the final word with episode 45. You know, James, everything in sports, you know, with everything we talked about to the 5 rounds, with the back and forth with the fans, just NFL week 1 is coming up. What's going through your mind in the world of sports right now with this final word?
So I want to kind of take it to college football, kind of keeping it from a homer perspective. I don't know if a lot of people watch, but if you saw the Hokies travel down to Norfolk Friday night to play ODU, WTF. That's the only thing I can respond to. Bruh, I don't know what Brent Pry has these guys doing up in Blacksburg, but they're clearly not taking the Kool-Aid. I don't know how you drop the opening game of the season to a Division II school in ODU. You had the lead late. You had a 10-point lead. The defense, which was probably the best part of the Hokies team the whole game. The defense finally broke. They finally failed. They collapsed. Quarterback play was atrocious. I mean, Grant Wells transferred in from Marshall. He won the starting job. Apparently it was a QB competition, but I couldn't tell from the way he played. My man's went out there and slung 4 interceptions. Like, I don't know. I don't get it, but it looks like it's a long rebuild ahead of the Hokies in Blacksburg. I'd like to think Pry is a guy that can come in and get the job done, but if this first game was any indication, he could be out sooner than we thought, because like that was terrible. That was atrocious. Like, we can't have no more of that. They need to get that fixed before Boston College rolls into town up in Lane Stadium this Saturday night. Like that was god awful.
Yeah, man, it's, you know, with college football being back, you know, with NFL being back, it's definitely going to be a wild next, you know, September and October. These 2 months are very impactful to both college and professional football. Just, we've got football back. It's great to be a part of it. With my final word, I want to kind of go with the half and half here. I want to use this time to acknowledge that as well, that we've got football back, that I'm very excited. We're at episode 45. Again, I can't say it enough. We are at episode 45 of the In or Out Sports Debate. I did not think we would be at this many episodes going into week 1 of the NFL season. And now we've got 18 straight regular season weeks, because everybody has a bye, to discuss NFL with this show. So looking forward to it. Thank you again, James, for coming back now for the 3rd time as a 30-time Vault of Fame inductee. But with my final word, I want to kind of go back with the comments from the fans were being said. We've got a few more comments. So I kind of want to take this time with the final word to acknowledge. And Justin comes back in and says, no, we already went over that one. Justin then says, no Bama QB has ever succeeded at the next level.
I mean, Ken Stabler, Joe Namath. You know, I mean, it's been a while, but, you know, they've had guys. It's been a while, though. I mean, I wouldn't trust a Bama quarterback nowadays, but, you know, they've had guys over the years.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit far-fetched saying that never. I mean, maybe in our time frame, yes. But when it comes to the truth,
you can't handle the truth.
Because that's not true. So you got to brush back up on that. Sorry, my man. That's not true. Darrell comes back in and says, James, Joe, and Drew, Legacy on Fire, episode 37. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. And guys, let me go ahead and put that graphic back up here for you guys to see that again. Here's the advertisement. Tomorrow, episode 37, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, with our guy Darrell Owens and Joe Dillard Jr. of the LegacyMaker Sports Network and Commonwealth Sports Talk. With that comment right there. Derek then comes back in. Legacy on Fire is fire. Yes. And with that, Derek, we can definitely give you a little bit more of a shout out. We can kind of go into this. Absolutely. You get that love there, Derek. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for being a part of this, even though some of your comments were far-fetched today, along with some other ones. Justin Brown is back with one more saying, sorry, I'm a millennial fan. We appreciate your honesty, but at the same time, wow, because we got to keep it 100 up in here. We need you to do this as well.
Stay off the weed.
No, we're just kidding. That was mainly for Derek. We had to do that one more time. That was for him. But thank you guys for the comments. Thank you for being a part of this episode 45. Thank you for being a part of all of these episodes, as mentioned, 45 times here throughout this tenure. But with that, we've gone through the final word. We've gone through everything. James, thank you again for being part of this show. Without the it wouldn't be anything without you guys. You know, I definitely need two to tango, and sometimes three, as you've seen with the Trios edition. We've got some more episodes scheduled ahead. Thank you guys for being here as always. For James Brown, I'm Drew Willingham. We only have one thing left to do up in here, and that's watch one badass outro on the way out the door. Thank you again.